Very, very good morning to all of you, my friends. Welcome back. So, in the previous two sessions, we discussed few concepts on process costing, and the last part, what we discussed was the concept of equivalent production. So now, let's proceed further with the next part, wherein we'll be discussing a very basic question. The question is not there in the study materials, so I request you guys to please download the notes what I have provided over the portal. I'm sharing the screen also for your reference. So this is the question what I'll be discussing now. I request you guys to please take the screenshot. Good morning, everyone. So let's start with this question for better understanding of concept of equivalent production. So inputs, it is 10,000 units. Material, it is 49,000 rupees. Labor, 19,200. Overheads, 28,800. Units transferred to the next process, that is 9,000. Closing work in progress is 1,000, of which, when talking about the process, the percentage of completion, it is given material 80%, labor and overhead 60%. Now, when talking about the concept, what I have discussed, the process cost was given as a whole, and the closing work is progress was given that it is, let's say, 50% complete or 60% complete. Now, herein in this question, the new thing is what? That they have given the breakup of the process cost. So we have to calculate the cost per unit of the 100% completed unit separately for material, labor, and overheads, because the cost element is divided in three parts, that is material, labor, and overheads. So let's start how to solve this question. Again, nothing new. Whatever the concepts I have discussed, whatever the concepts I have discussed, I'll be applying the same concepts here. The main difference between the previous question what I have discussed at last and in this question is that पिछले question में जो मैंने एग्जांपल लिया था उसमें प्रोसेस कॉस्ट एज अ होल गिवन था, बट हियर इन प्रोसेस कॉस्ट का ब्रेकअप गिवन है मटेरियल, लेबर एंड ओवरहेड सेपरेटली. So the cost per unit what we was calculating, the cost per unit what we was calculating, that is total cost divided by equivalent units. So herein also the cost per unit will be calculated, but three costs per unit will be calculated, and thereafter we will get the total cost, that is the material cost divided by equivalent units of material, labor cost divided by equivalent units of labor, and overhead cost divided by equivalent unit of overheads. So let's start how to proceed and how to solve the question. Now, let's prepare a process account also. Let's prepare a process account also. So the material input is 10,000 units and the cost is 49,000. The labor cost is 19,200. Overhead cost is 28,800. No normal loss in the question. Simply the units that are transferred to the next process, let's say process second, it is 9,000 units. Now, very important. See, earlier in the last question, it was given that the work in progress was either 50%, 30%, 20%. The process cost was given as a whole. Now, herein, the percentages of completion is given, but separately for material and labor and overheads. So, to calculate the equivalent number of units, we have to calculate equivalent number of units separately for material and labor and overheads. See, the percentage of completion of labor and overheads is same, that is 60%. So the equivalent units will be same. But the percentage of completion of material is different. So that's why we'll be calculating equivalent units separately for material and labor and overheads. So let's present it systematically. We'll prepare statement of equivalent reduction. Since the percentage of completion of labor and overheads is same 60%, so no need to calculate it separately. So we are getting two categories of output. First one is 9,000 units that are 100% processed and transferred to the next process, and 1,000 units. But when talking about these 1,000 units, it is given that for material it is 80% complete and labor and overheads are 60% complete. So that's why we will be calculating separate equivalent units for material and labor and overheads. So let's start with the first category of output, 9,000 units. Units transferred. Total 9,000 units. Since they are transferred to the next process, so assuming they are 100% processed, so 9,000, they are 100% processed for material also, so 9,000. They are 100% processed for labor and overheads also, therefore 9,000. When talking about these 1,000 units, that is what we call as closing work in progress. It is 1,000 units. Now, when talking about the percentage of completion in respect of material, they are 80% complete. So this will be 800. And when talking about labor and overheads, they are 60% complete. So this will be 600. So total equivalent number of units for material, it will be 9,800. And for labor and overheads, it will be 9,600. So anyone with any doubts or queries till now, you guys can please post. This is the most important part of the chapter. Examiner do ask question on this part frequently. Admin sir, the visibility is okay? Perfect now? Okay. So anyone with any doubts or queries till now? Can you please mute? Yes. So anyone with any doubts or queries till now? Yes. Waiting for your queries. Since the percentage of completion is, Himanshu, have some patience. Since the percentage of completion is given separately for material, labor, and overheads, so that's why I have calculated separate equivalent units for material and labor and overheads. Anyone else with any doubts or queries? Yes, Harsh, Pooja, Deepika, Meenu, Mujahid, Geeta, Shamli, Linga. Anyone with any doubts? Yes, Mujahid, Harsh, Mustafa, Geeta. See, Linga, when talking about these 9,000 units, they are transferred to the next process. So, since they are transferred to the next process, it means they are 100% processed. So, let's proceed further. We have got the equivalent number of units now. Now let's calculate the cost per unit. See, the first thing what we used to do is what? To calculate equivalent number of units. Once equivalent number of units are calculated, we used to calculate the cost per unit. So let's calculate the cost per unit. So earlier it was total process cost divided by total equivalent units. But herein, there are separate equivalent units for material, labor, and overheads. So the cost per unit will be calculated separately for material, labor, and overheads. So when talking about material cost, it is 49,000. And the equivalent number of units are 9,800. For labor, the cost is 19,200. Equivalent number of units are 9,600. And overheads, it is 28,800. And equivalent number of units are 9,600. So we will get the cost separately for all three. See, first stage is Kuldeep to prepare process account. Now, second stage is we have to calculate the equivalent number of units. And thereafter, total cost divided by equivalent units, we will get the cost per unit, Kuldeep. So 49,000 divided by 9,800, it is rupees 5. This is 2 and this is 3. The total cost is 10. The total cost per unit is 10. One second. There are a few queries. Very good, Pooja. Very good, everyone. So now we are done with the calculation of total cost. Now, sorry, the calculation of cost per unit. Now let's calculate the total cost. So we'll prepare statement showing distribution of cost. I'm starting with the second approach, which was recommended. I'll teach you guys the first approach also for your reference. So let's prepare the statement showing distribution of cost. See, the units transferred. How many units were transferred? 9,000 units. They were 100% processed. So 9,000 units were 100% processed, and the cost of 100% processed unit is how much? 10. So that is 90,000. Now, when talking about these closing work in progress, there are two ways. I'm discussing first the way what I recommended. So, when talking about material, the equivalent number of units are how much? 800. They are 100% processed. So 800 into 5. When talking about labor, it is 600. 600 into 2. And overheads, it is 600 into 3. So this will be 7,000. So herein it will be 90,000 and this will be 7,000. Alternatively, as I discussed in the previous question also, calculation of cost per unit of closing work in progress. So see, when talking about material, the cost of 100% processed unit is how much? 5. And the percentage of completion of material is 80%. When talking about labor, the cost is 2 and the percentage of completion is 60%. When talking about overheads, it is 3 and percentage of completion is 60%. So the cost per unit will be how much? 4, 1.2, 1.8. So 7. So the total number of closing work in progress is how much? 1,000. 1,000 into 7, that is 7,000. So there are two ways to calculate the value of work in progress, but to avoid this additional exercise, we directly calculate the closing work in progress like this. Anyone with any doubts or queries? I'm done with the explanation. Whatever running in your mind, do speak up because I'll be discussing variety of questions today on work in progress only. So if you guys have any doubts or queries, you guys can please post your queries. Waiting for your queries. In the meanwhile, those who don't have any doubts or queries can please copy this explanation. Yes, Hina, any doubts? Steffi, Manisha, Riddhi, Meenu, Himanshu, Chetra, Ria, Deepika, Sudarshan, Kuldeep. Very good, Rabari. Anyone else? Asking individually, Linga, Pooja, any doubts? Yes, Mustafa. So the process account. Now, since the percentage of completion is separate for material and labor and overheads, so that's why we'll be calculating separate equivalent units for material, labor, and overheads. Thereafter, what we did in the previous question, the cost per unit, now we need to distribute the total cost to the units transferred and closing work in progress. So units transferred, they are 100% processed, and we have got the cost of 100% processed unit, that is 90,000. Now, semi-processed unit, when talking about, see, this is the cost of 100% material. So cost of 80% material will be 4. This is the cost of 100% labor. So cost for 60% completed labor will be this much. This is the cost of 100% processed overhead. So cost of 60% processed overhead is 1.8. So the total cost is 7. 1000 into 7, 7,000 straight away. Alternatively, instead of calculating this cost, better 800 into 5, 600 into 2, 600 into 3. These are the two ways to calculate the value of work in progress. So, better it is to solve this approach because it is very easy and reasonable to solve. Deepika, see, we take material and labor as 80 and 60. We have taken it as a whole as 100%. See, this is the first way wherein material it is 80%, labor it is 60% overhead. So this is the cost of work in progress per unit. So 1000 into 7, 7,000. Now this cost will be equal. As I told you, the cost of 100% completed unit will be equal to, sorry, the cost of 100% equivalent units will be equal to the cost of semi-finished units. So either you can calculate this way or straight away. Instead of calculating the cost per unit directly, equivalent units, these are 100% processed for material in respect of closing work in progress. These are 100% processed unit for labor and overheads for closing work in progress. So 800 into 5, 600 into 2, 600 into 3. I have taken the equivalent number of units, Deepika. It will always be given in the question, Linga, regarding the percentage of completion. Whatever running in your mind, do speak up. This method is recommended. So ultimately, we are distributing this cost of 97,000 among two. And to distribute this cost among two, we are doing all this exercise. Anyone else? I request you guys to copy the presentation. The presentation is the key. This is the easiest way to solve the question. Shamli, any doubts? Mujahid? This is an additional exercise, Meenu. It's up to you. You can follow the any of the methods. From now and onwards, I'll be using this approach only to calculate the value of work in progress. These both methods I have discussed for your understanding. Yes, Shamli, any doubts? Okay. So let's proceed further. So this is the basic calculation of how to solve the question if work in progress is given in the question. Now let's proceed further. This was the very basic question: inputs, output, and closing work in progress. Now let's take the second situation wherein opening work in progress is also given in the question. Let's take a basic example wherein opening work in progress is given, let's say 4,000 units. Inputs made during the year is, let's say, 16,000 units. So total we have is how much? 20,000 units. Out of 20,000 units, units transferred were, let's say, 16,000. Closing work in progress is balance, that is 4,000 units. So how to deal with the situation wherein, one second. Okay. How to deal with the situation wherein opening work in progress is given. So opening work in progress is 4,000 units. Inputs are 16,000 units. Total we have is 20,000 units in hand. Now, of this 20,000 units, let's say units transferred are 18,000, and let's say closing work in progress is 2,000. Now, the point is how to deal with that situation. So, there are two approaches that are possible. Either we use a FIFO method or weighted average method. So, herein in this case, so when talking about the valuation of these 18,000 units transferred, we can use either FIFO approach or weighted average approach. See, total units transferred were 18,000. So the name itself says first in, first out. So out of these 18,000 units, if we are using FIFO approach, 4,000 will be from opening work in progress, and the balance units, that is 14,000, will be from the inputs. When talking about the valuation of these 18,000 units that are transferred, ये जो 18,000 units हमने transfer की है, उसमें से if we are using FIFO method, then 18,000 units, when talking about the breakup, 18,000 of these 18,000 units, 4,000 will be from opening work in progress and 14,000 will be from the inputs. And when talking about closing work in progress, it will be from what? My inputs only. Now, when talking about the weighted average method, ignore 4,000, 16,000 breakup. We'll be taking the weighted average cost. So we'll be taking the I'll be discussing this practically. So very important part, when opening work in progress is given, the value of opening work in progress is also given. Inputs are given and the value of inputs are given. Now the point is how to value these units transferred and closing work in progress. ये जो 18,000 यूनिट्स ट्रांसफर हुए किस में से हुए, 4,000 में से हुए या 16,000 में से हुए हैं, या फिर if there is any other method. So the point is, if it is FIFO method, then of these 18,000 units, 4,000 will be from opening work in progress and 14,000 will be from the inputs. And when talking about FIFO method, these 2,000 units will be from the inputs that are made during the year. Now, so this is all what about FIFO method. And when weighted average method, very simple, we'll be taking the weighted average cost. Anyone with any doubts or queries? FIFO, the name itself says first in, first out. So जो units transfer होंगे, firstly, it will be from opening work in progress and balance will be from the inputs that are made during the year. Yes, anyone having any doubts? Hina, Mustafa, I request you guys to copy this explanation. See, very simple. We have total 20,000 units. We have total 20,000 units. 4,000 are from opening work in progress. Inputs are from 16,000. The inputs made during the year were 16,000. So when talking about these 18,000 units transferred for FIFO, so 18,000 units that are transferred, 4,000 will be from what? This one. Of this 16,000, 14,000 will be used in what? Units transferred. And balance we are left out with 2,000 will be from what? The inputs that are made during the year. So this is all what about closing work in progress and units transferred in case of FIFO. But when talking about weighted average method, we'll be using the weighted average cost only. I'll be discussing this practically with the help of an example, but I hope that FIFO part is clear to all. I'll be explaining this also, Himanshu. I hope it is clear, Hina. Yes, Hina. So let's proceed further. I'll be discussing a question from my material for better understanding of this concept. Hina, I hope your query is resolved. Okay. So I'll be discussing a question from my material. I request you guys to please download the material what I have provided. I'll be discussing that question while with the use of FIFO method also and weighted average method also. I'll be discussing example number 5th, basic example. This is the first page of the question. And this is the second page of the question. So I request you to take the screenshot of the first page. Those who have not downloaded, you can take the screenshot of the first page. And now the second page. So let's start with this question. Following information is available regarding process A for the month of January 2020, and the production records are given, wherein units in process as on 1st January 2020, that is opening work in progress, is given, that is 4,000, and the percentage of completion is also given, that is they are 100% processed in respect of material. And when talking about labor and overhead, they are only 25% processed. It means in the last year, this much work was done. So balance work will be completed in the current year. So 100% processed in respect of material in the previous month. 25% work was completed for labor and overheads in the previous month. So balance work that will be completed in this month will be how much? For material, nothing. Labor and overheads, it will be 75%. Now, new units introduced are 16,000. Units completed and transferred to the next process were 14,000. And units that are still in process at the end of the month, 6,000 units. And when talking about these 6,000 units, material processed is 100%. Labor and overheads are 33.33% complete. The value of opening work in progress is given separately for material, labor, and overheads. 8,000 is the total. And the cost during the month is given, that is 25,600. Labor, it is 15,000. Overheads are 15,000. The total cost is 55,600. You are required to prepare a statement of equivalent production, statement showing cost for each element, statement of apportionment of cost, and process cost account for process A using both FIFO and weighted average method. So let's start with this question. Herein, we'll be using the same concept. The additional thing is what? The FIFO and weighted average method. So let's start with example number 5. The first step is prepare process account. I'll be following the uniform format. See, in ABC also I have followed a uniform format. In process also I'll be following a uniform format. Again, this format is the key. So do present your solution as per this format. You'll find it easy also, and you'll be comfortable with this format. So let's start with this question. Opening work in progress is how many units? 4,000 units. And the total amount is 8,000. Inputs that are made during the year, it is 16,000, and the material cost is 25,600. When talking about labor cost, it is 15,000, and overheads are also 15,000. Now, of this 20,000, there is no normal loss, simply units that are transferred to process B. And closing work in progress. The units that are transferred to the next process is 14,000 units. And the units that are still in process is 6,000 units. So this is 20,000. This is 20,000. And my total cost is 8,000 plus 25, 600 plus the 63, 600. Now, ultimately, we have to distribute this cost among these two. So this 63,600 is to be distributed among 14,000 and 6,000. So let's proceed with the preparation of statement of equivalent production. Now we'll be using first FIFO method to solve this question. So when talking about units transferred, when talking about units that are transferred, the total units transferred are 14,000. The units transferred are 14,000. Now, if we are applying FIFO method, so when talking about the breakup of this 14,000 units, 4,000 will be from what? Opening work in progress. And balance 10,000 will be from what? Inputs that are made during the year. When talking about units transferred, 14,000 are the units transferred. I'm applying FIFO method. So when talking about the breakup of these 14,000 units transferred, so 4,000 will be from the opening work in progress and 10,000 will be from the inputs. FIFO method you guys must have learned in material chapter also, that is first in first out. जो first input हुआ है वो पहले output जाएगा. So this was the first input because before the inputs made there was some opening work in progress. So for this 14,000, 4,000 will be from opening work in progress, 10,000 will be from the inputs that are made during the year. Anyone having any doubts till now? I'm just solving this very slowly for better understanding. Anyone having any doubts? So now let's start. We have to calculate the equivalent number of units. It means the work that is done during the year. So let's start with this breakup of 14,000 and then 6,000. So units transferred. Total 4 plus 10, 14,000 units were transferred, of which 4,000 units were from opening work in progress. 4,000 units were from opening work in progress and balance 10,000 were from the inputs that are made during the year. 1 second, let me check. There is a query. Okay. So FIFO says first in, first out. Now this statement, this cost 25,600, 15,000, 15,000 represent what? The costs that are incurred during the year. वो खर्चा जो इस साल हुआ है. So now the statement is all what? The equivalent production during the year. So 4,000 were opening work in progress. Now, very important guys, do pay attention. The units that were already processed last year were 100% in respect of material and 25% in respect of labor and overhead. This much work was already done in the previous year. So this statement is for the current year. So how much work that is done during the year will be presented here. So when talking about for these 4,000 units, material work was already done in the previous year. So nothing was done in the current year. But when talking about labor and overheads, 25% work was completed in the previous year. So in this month, how much work is completed? 75%. So this will be 3,000. So opening work in progress is given and the percentage of work that is already completed in the last month is given. So the work that is completed during this month is how much? 3,000 units for labor and overheads. Now 4,000 is done. Now the balance is from 10,000 inputs. So units started and completed. How much? 10,000 units, 100%, 10,000, 100%, 10,000. So this is done about units transferred. So this is the breakup of 14,000 units that were transferred. So this part is the key. Anyone having any doubts in this part? Yes, asking individually to everyone. Whatever running in your mind, speak up. I'm there to address all your queries. I'm there to address all your doubts. Make sure by the end of this session, you should be thorough with process costing. I'm there to help you out, guys. So whatever running in your mind, speak up. See, very important, Kharvi. See, total work completed is 100%. Now, material work is already completed, so nothing is done this month. Now, when talking about labor and overhead, 25% work was done in the previous month. It is given in the question. See, read the question carefully. The labor and overhead work completed was 25%. It means 25% is what? It is opening work in progress, not closing work in progress. Opening work in progress, labor and overhead work is completed up to 25%. So the balance work that is out of 100, 25% is completed in the previous month. So 75% work will be completed in this month. I hope your query is resolved, Kharvi. Anyone else? Now, moving towards the next part, that is closing work in progress. How much is my closing work in progress? 6,000 units. So 4,000 units are absorbed. 10,000 units are also absorbed. Now we are left out with 6,000 units. That were from what? Inputs made during the year. Fresh inputs that were made during the year. ये जो इस साल हमने नया इनपुट किया उसमें से ये 6,000 यूनिट्स है. So now see, the work completed on closing work in progress is how much? 100% for material, labor and overheads, it is 33%. It means what? That These were for the fresh inputs that are made during the year. So material जो complete हुआ है 100% वो, it is during the current month only. So this will be 100% because it represents what? These 6,000 units were from the fresh inputs made during the year. So whatever the work completed represents what? The work completed in this month. So here in 6,000 will be 100%. So 6,000 and 33 1 by 3%, 2,000. So the equivalent number of units will be how much? 16,000. So this part is the key. It's not tricky. The point is stick to the concept, go slowly, think practically. Don't think that it is a question. Let's assume that it is a practical life situation you'll be able to figure out. So anyone with any doubts or queries asking individually, please, whatever the queries you have relating to this FIFO part, you guys can please post your queries. Yes, Hina, Mustafa, Rabari, Kuldeep, any doubts? Mujahid? The important point is this 75%. Don't get confused. Yes, anyone with any doubts? Meenu, Deepika? Thirty-three 1 by 3 is basically one third. So 6,000 divided by 1 by 3, it will be 2,000. Those who want to copy this explanation can copy this explanation. Shamli, any doubts? Khairavi, any doubts? Okay, Mustafa. So we are done with the calculation of equivalent number of units. Now let's proceed with the next part, that is preparation of calculation of cost per unit. So when talking about cost per unit, so now this statement represents what? I hope the space. The above, I'm writing it also for your reference. Above statement represents the work completed in current month. So now let's calculate the cost for the month, the cost per unit for the month. See, this cost is of opening work in progress. That is the cost that is incurred in the previous year or previous month. Now, this statement represents the work that is completed in the current month. So now when talking about material, my material is how much? 25,600. The work that is completed during the year is 16,000 units. So this will be 1.6. Next is labor, 15,000 divided by 15,000. So this is the cost of units that were 100% processed and transferred to the next process. Material is 25,600. See, it is 25,600. Check the question. Hina, check the question. It is 25,600. So we are done with this. Now next is the statement showing distribution of cost or calculation of total cost. So let's start. Now see, total units transferred were 14,000. The units transferred were how much? 14,000. 4,000 were from the opening work in progress and inputs made during the year were 10,000. So 10,000 into 3.6 is straight away. But opening work in progress calculation is a bit different. So see, of these 14,000 units, 4,000 were from opening work in progress. How many units? 4,000 units. So of this 14,000 units, 4,000 units were opening work in progress. So the cost incurred in the previous month is how much? Yeah, we can say cost already incurred. $8,000. So for this 4,000 units, 8,000 is the cost that is incurred in the previous month. Now the cost incurred in the current month. So when talking about material, nothing was done in this year. For labor and overheads, 3,000 units were processed in this year. So 3,000 into 1, 3,000 into 1. So I'm just using the first approach that was recommended. So of these 4,000 units, 100% was done, 100% was already completed in the previous month. 25% work was already completed in respect of labor and overheads in the previous month. So 100% of material and 25% of labor and overhead. And their cost is how much? 8,000. वो काम जो कंप्लीट कर दिया था उसका कॉस्ट कितना है? 8,000. और वो काम जो हमने इस मंथ में कंप्लीट किया, वी आर कैलकुलेटिंग द कॉस्ट. सो nothing was done in respect of material, only labor and overhead work was done. So labor and overheads, equivalent number of units are 3,000. So 3,000 into 1 and 3,000 into 1. 1 and 1. So when talking about the cost of these 4,000 units, the total cost is how much? 8 plus 6, 14,000. 8,000 already incurred in the previous month, 6,000 incurred in the current month. So this is the breakup of 4,000. Now, unit started and completed is how much? 10,000. They were 100% processed, so into 3.6. So this is the value of units that are transferred. So 4,000 units, they were opening work in progress. इसमें पिछले साल खर्चा कितना किया था? वो 8,000. The cost incurred in the current month is 6,000. So 14,000 is the total cost of 4,000 units. Now, balance 10,000 units, the cost is 3.6. So this will be 36,000. Now, next is closing work in progress. Now, for material, the equivalent number of units are how much? 6,000. 6,000 into 1.6. Labor, it is 2,000 into 1. A total tally is 63,600. Now, guys, take your time, copy the solution, and then do review what I have discussed till now, and thereafter post your query. So, giving you 5 minutes time to just try to figure out what I have done. Again, do write the explanation in your notebook that this is what Sir taught and this is what I have understood. Copy each and every part. Again, the question is not from study material. So, do copy each and every part. Take your time. Try to understand what I have done. Again, I'm following the same format: process, statement of equivalent production, calculation of cost per unit, and this calculation is the key. So, giving you 5 minutes time to copy everything. Mujahid, I'm not getting what you are asking. So, anyone with any doubts or queries? Thirty-three 1/3 is 33.33333333. You will be able to get the answer. It's simply 100/3. See, when talking about units transferred, 4,000 were from opening work in progress and 10,000 were from the units started and completed. So 4,000 units that were opening work in progress, we will take the total cost. That is the cost already incurred in the previous month and the cost that is incurred now, Shamli. I hope it is clear, Shamli. Anyone else with any doubts or queries? So we are done with FIFO method. We are done with FIFO method. Now let's solve this question using weighted average method. Now see, weighted average method is comparatively easier than FIFO method. Weighted average method says take the weighted average cost. So when talking about, see, these 14,000 units were transferred. These 14,000 units were transferred to the next process. It means what? That they were 100% processed and transferred to the next process. So when talking about the statement of equivalent production, units transferred were how much? 14,000. Since they were 100% processed, so it is 14,000. Labor also 100% processed, so 14,000. When talking about closing work in progress, it is 6,000. It was 100% complete in respect of material and 33 1/3% in respect of labor and overhead. So this will be 2,000. So 14 plus 6, how much? 20,000 and 16,000. So these are the equivalent number of units of what? This 20,000 and 16,000 are what? The equivalent number of units for the previous year also and for the current year also. Since we are taking the weighted average method, so weighted average cost, that is cost of the current year plus the cost of the previous year divided by cost of the current year plus the cost of the previous year divided by units of the current year plus the units of the previous year. So herein, these are my equivalent number of units. See, for your better understanding, I'm just preparing the statement. I'm just preparing the statement in different way. This is just for your understanding. If the question is asked in exam, you can prepare in this way. If the question is asked in exams, you can prepare it in this way. But just for your better conceptual understanding, I'm preparing it in some different way. So see, actually I erased this part by mistake, but anyways, I'm preparing it again. Now see, what we did in FIFO, very simple. Units transferred, opening work in progress, how many units were there as per FIFO? I'm just preparing the statement again as per FIFO. So opening work in progress was 4,000. Nothing was done in respect of material. Overhead, labor and overhead, 75% work was done. So this was 3,000. Inputs were 10,000. Sorry. Units started and completed. Ten thousand, 100%, 10,000. 100%, 10,000. Now closing, this was the breakup of 14,000. Now the closing work in progress was 6,000. 100% was done in respect of material 6,000. And now, very important, guys, this was the statement as we prepared as per FIFO. Wait, this was the statement what we prepared as per FIFO. It means what? It means what? That this statement represents the work that is completed in the current month. Now, weighted average method says the cost of this year plus the cost of this previous year divided by the work that is done during the year plus the work that is completed in the previous year. So anyways, so this is as per FIFO. Now it represents what? Till now, it represents the work completed this month. Till now, it represents the work completed this month. Now, if we want to calculate the equivalent number of units as per weighted average, what we will do, if we add the work that is completed in the previous month, we will get the weighted average number of units. So if we add the work that is completed in the previous month, so how much work is completed in the previous month for opening work in progress? 4,000 units were there. The work that was already completed in the previous month was how much? 100% for material, 4,000, and 25% of labor. That is 1,000. So this represents what? This represents the work completed in previous month. So this represents the work completed in the previous month, and this represents the work completed in the current month. If we calculate the total, that is 10,000 plus 6,000 plus 4,000, it will be 20,000. 3,000 plus 10,000 plus 1,000, sorry, 3,000 opening 10, 3 plus 10 plus 3, 13 plus 2, 15 plus 1, 16,000. It will be the same. That is 20 and 16. So no need to do this additional exercise if it is a weighted average method straight away. Weighted average statement represents what the total work done. That is the work done in the previous month and in the current month. So if the FIFO statement is ready, if we add the work that is done in the previous month, we will get the statement as per weighted average. But it is not advisable. This is just for your understanding. I have prepared. So as of now, if the weighted average method is given units transferred straight away and closing work in progress, you will get the units as per weighted average. I hope this part is clear to all. Anyone with any doubts or queries? See, this is basically the conceptual understanding. Those who want to copy this conceptual understanding, you guys can please copy. Now, we have got the weighted average number of units. So now we will calculate the total cost divided by weighted average number of units. Anyone with any doubts? I hope this part is clear to all. No need to prepare this statement. See, this is the statement as per FIFO. If we add the work that is completed in the previous month, it will convert it into weighted average statement. Just for understanding, just for your conceptual understanding that why you are doing so. See, when talking about you are pursuing for CA, you are not going for any graduation exams or any university exams. You are pursuing for CA. So you should understand that what you are doing. So the point is, weighted average statement represents what? We calculate the weighted average units. So when talking about units, it represents what? The total units. That is the work completed in the previous month plus the work completed in the current month. Those who want to copy the statement can please copy. This is just for conceptual understanding. Yes, Hina, I hope it is clear. So no need to do this exercise straight away. Straight away, 14,000 units transfer where they were 100% processed. This much work was done during the current year in respect of closing work in progress, and this much units are only processed. So this is all what about closing work in progress. So we will get the weighted average units. Yes, weighted average method is very easy. Anyways, I'm just erasing it, just giving you last minute to copy everything. So straight away, if the weighted average method is asked, it means what? Units transferred were 14,000, 14,000, 4,000, 10,000 का ब्रेकअप करने की जरूरत नहीं है, क्योंकि 4,000 यूनिट्स जितना काम हमने पिछले मंथ में किया और इस मंथ में किया उसका टोटल लेना है. So straight away for 4,000 also 100%, 100%, 10,000 also 100%, 100%. So 14,000, since units are transferred, it is full 100%. Now 6,000 units, this much work is done during the year. So that's why. Uh, this is the last session for process costing. Hina. But I'm just trying my best to cover each and every point in detail. Don't worry, and this much is sufficient for your understanding. So now let's calculate the cost per unit. We have got the equivalent units for material 20,000, labor 16,000. Now, guys, do make a note of it that we have to calculate the weighted average cost. So, since I address query of each and every student, so there is a query of mine, how much cost of material we will take to calculate the cost per unit. So I want everyone to address my query. There is a query from my side. How much will be the, sorry, it is 20,000. Since I address each and every query of every student, so it's a query of mine and I want everyone to address my query that how much material cost I will be taking to calculate the cost per unit. So let's see who address my query first. See, your explanation is incorrect, Mustafa. Do pay attention to the concept. Don't go with a pattern or a format. So still till now, I think I have got my query from Minu. Mustafa, it is total 20. I just want the amount part. I want everyone to address my query. So I think Shamli's answer is correct. Very good, Shamli. I'm waiting for your answers now, Mustafa. 20,000 units we will take, but what will be the amount? So I got correct answer from Shamli. Meenu, your answer is incorrect. Just think, just focus on what I have told you. Himanshu, incorrect answer. I want correct answer now. Pooja, incorrect. Do you think, Pooja, that I'll ask such a simple question? Harsh Mishra, incorrect. Meenu, it is correct now. Very good, Meenu. I hope you understood what I. Very good, Mustafa, as expected. Very good. Pooja, sorry, okay. Pooja, your answer is correct. Meenu, your answer is incorrect. Sorry, Meenu. Aditya, it is incorrect. Deepika, it is correct now. Very good, Deepika. Harsh Mishra, it is incorrect. Please recheck your calculation. Deepika, it is correct. Very good, Deepika. Very good, Miss Prajapati, Namrata. Very good, Jaya. Sudarshan, please read the question carefully. Miss Rabari, very good. Pooja, it is incorrect. Mr. Linga, waiting for your answer. Okay, Hina, your answer is incorrect. Very good, Mustafa. But your sorry, Mustafa, your answer is incorrect. Please read the question. You are near to the answer. Do recheck your answer. So still, I have not received answers from many students. Kuldeep, Prajyot, where are you, my dear? Since no queries from your end and no answers. Medha, waiting for your answers, Medha. I think you have joined a bit late. It is Pooja Byalal. Okay, Pooja, your answer is incorrect. I'll mention Pooja B. Medha and Prajyot, I have not received answers from your end. Very good, Namrata. Your answers are correct. Samira, you have not posted the answer. Arun, it is correct now. Pooja Byalal. Yes, yes, I know it is. Pooja Byalal, I'll mention you as Pooja Byalal. Your answer is incorrect. Pooja Byalal. Mustafa, recheck your answer. Anyways, guys, so these are the weighted average number of units. It means what? The units that were processed last month and current month. So we will take the total cost, that is the cost of last month and the current month. So see, material cost of last month is how much? 6,000. Material cost of current month is how much? 25,600. Similarly for labor also, the cost of last month is how much? 1,000. The cost of this month is how much? 15,000. Overheads also, the cost of last month is 1,000 and the cost of this month is 15,000. So this is what my weighted average cost. Now, this is 3.58 is what my weighted average cost per unit of the units that are 100% processed. So straight away, units transferred were 14,000 into 3.58. So this will be 50,120. And for closing work in progress, the equivalent units for material, it is 6,000 into 1.58. Labor, it is 2,000 into 1. So this is the way you guys have to solve the question. I hope this part is clear to all. Anyone with any doubts or queries, do you guys can please post. Again, the purpose of discussing that second statement is to give you an understanding that weighted average method is what? The weighted average units, that is the units that were processed in the current year plus the equivalent number of units of the previous year. See, the breakup of cost is given for material, labor, and overheads. Very good, Arun. Very good, Medha. Why you were late? Okay, no worries. You can check the recorded session, Medha. Very good, Shamli. What's wrong, Himanshu? Can you please brief? See, 25,600 is the cost of the current year. Last year cost, see, work in progress as on 1/1/2020. Material, it is 6,000. So 6,000 plus 25,600. For labor, it is 1,000 plus 15,000. Everything is given in the question. See, the cost breakup is given in the question. 25,600, sorry, 6,000, 1,000, and 1,000. Check the question, Aditya. Very good, Deepika. Anyone with any doubts or queries? I'm done with the weighted average method. I think Himanshu raised a query, sir. What about FIFO and weighted average method? So I hope, Himanshu, your query is resolved. Yes, Himanshu. Crystal clear, Himanshu, now? Anyone with any doubts or queries on concept of equivalent production, you guys can please post. Harsh, I think you have joined a bit late. Miss Harsh Kaur, I think you have joined a bit late. I have discussed all these points in detail. Miss Harsh Kaur. Yes, weighted average method is comparatively easier than FIFO method. Anyone else with any doubts or queries? Please check the recorded session. I think you joined a bit late, right, Miss Harsh Kaur? I request you guys to copy the solution. See, the purpose of discussing that second statement was what? Just for your understanding only, Himanshu. Because many students find it difficult how to calculate the cost of last year and current year. Anyways, now you are thorough, so that's great. So when talking about if you find weighted average method, prepare the statement straight away. No need to do additional instants that prepare as per FIFO. This is the work completed till date. Plus, we have to work the we have to show the work that is completed in the last year or last month, whatever it is. Anyways, So this is all what about this question. We are done with this question. In every attempt, you will find a question on process costing, and in 80% cases, there are chances that the question will be on equivalent production only. Anyways, let's proceed further with again a very important point, that is what will be the treatment of normal loss, abnormal loss, and abnormal gain in statement of equivalent production. Now, when talking about the treatment of these three items, when the normal loss is there, ignore. When normal loss is there, ignore. Ignore normal loss in statement of equivalent production. However, if any scrap value is realized on sale of, however, if any scrap value is realized on sale of normal loss, then it will be deducted from material cost to calculate cost per unit. So while preparing the statement of equivalent production, ignore normal loss, because due to normal loss, product cost is inflated. अगर normal loss के units लेंगे तो equivalent number of units ज्यादा आएंगे तो product का cost inflate नहीं होगा. So the point is, due to normal loss, the product cost is inflated. However, if any scrap value is realized on sale of normal loss, then it will be deducted from the material cost to calculate the cost per unit. When talking about abnormal loss, we have to consider abnormal loss. And follow the instructions given in question regarding completion. So when talking about abnormal loss, yes, we have to consider abnormal loss. As far as the percentage of completion, always the instruction will be given in the question, so you have to follow the instruction. And when talking about abnormal gain, assume 100% complete. Assume 100% complete. I request you guys to copy this explanation, giving you 2 minutes time. I'll be discussing a question where there is normal loss, or abnormal gain. I request you guys to copy. So, guys, let's take a break of 10 minutes. I'll be back after 10 minutes with a good question, one more question on statement of equivalent production. So, let's take a break of 10 minutes. Admin, sir? Welcome back after much needed break. So I hope you guys are thorough with the treatment of normal loss, and abnormal gain. So let's proceed further with one more question wherein there will be some normal loss and abnormal loss also. I request you guys to read example number 6, open example number 6. This is the first page of example number 6. Those who have not downloaded can take the screenshot. And this is the second page. Linga, this is the first page. So now let's start with this question. Following details are related to the work done in process A of XYZ company during the month of March 2020, where an opening work in progress that is 2000 units and the breakup is given for material, labor and overheads. Material introduced in process A, it is 38,000 units and the cost is given. Direct labor and overheads are given. Units scrapped. The units scrapped were 3,000 and the percentage of completion is also given, that is 100% and 80% for material and labor respectively. Opening work in also progress is also given and the percentage of completion is also given. Closing work in progress is given, that is 2000 units and the percentage of completion is given. Units finished and transferred to the next process is given, that is 35,000. Normal loss is 5% of the total input, including work in progress. Scrap value is rupees 20 per piece. You are required to prepare the statement of equivalent production, the statement of cost, the statement of distribution of cost, process A account, normal and abnormal loss account. So normal loss and abnormal loss account is homework for you. So let's start with this question, example number 6. So opening work in progress is 2000 units and the cost is 1,40,000. Inputs are 38,000 units and the total amount is 14,80,000. Labor and overheads amounting to rupees 359 and 1077. We are done with the cost. Pooja, do take the screenshot. Now let's proceed further. Now by normal loss. The normal loss is 5% of the inputs. So the normal loss is 5% of the inputs plus work in progress. So 38 plus 2, 40, 40 into 5%, that is 2000 is the normal loss. Closing work in progress is given in the question, that is 2000 units by units that are transferred to the next process. It is, I think, 35,000 units. So total we have 40,000 units in hand. Of this 40,000 units, 2,000 is normal loss, 35,000 is transfer to the next process, and closing work in progress is 2,000. So balancing figure will be my abnormal loss. Remaining 1,000 units. When talking about the scrap value of normal loss, it is given 20 rupees per piece. So this is 40,000. Now herein, we are required to calculate the value of these three. So let's start with the statement of equivalent production. I'm solving this question using weighted average method. FIFO method is homework for you. Now see, the percentage of completion of labor and overheads is same. 80%, 60% and 80%. It is same. So again, it will be material and labor and overheads together. If the percentage of completion of labor and overheads is different, then separate units will be calculated for labor and overheads. So now let's start with units transferred. Units transferred were 35,000 units. They were 100% processed. That's why they were transferred. So it is 35,000. Abnormal loss is 1,000 units. Abnormal loss is 1,000 unit, and see the percentage of completion of the units that were scrapped is given 100% and 80%. Now next is closing work in progress. That is 2,000 units. And the percentage of completion is given, that is 100% and 80%. So we will get the total units. 38,000. $37,400. Anyone having any doubts till now? You guys can please post your query. I hope you guys are thorough with what I have discussed till now. Thank you so much, Meenu. Just check the total, Himanshu. The total of material, labor, and overheads of opening work in progress. It is 80,000, 15,000, and 45,000. Now let's prepare the statement showing calculation of cost per unit. Now material. These are the equivalent number of units of the present year plus the past year. So this is the total work completed, the work completed in the current year as well as the past year. So we will take the total cost also. So when talking about material cost, it is 80. Can anyone tell me what will be the net material cost? Waiting for your answers. I know the number of units for material, labor, and overheads. What will be the net amount which will be divided by units? What will be the net amount divided by units for material? Waiting for your answers. So let's see whose answer is correct. So Pooja Byalal, incorrect answer Pooja. Meenu, incorrect answer. Himanshu, incorrect answer. Deepika, incorrect answer. Mustafa, incorrect answer. Harsh Kaur, incorrect answer. Medha Sen, incorrect answer. Medha, now I can figure out that you have joined bit late. Everyone is getting the same answer, but your answer is incorrect. I know you have given the explanation, Meenu, but just do focus on what I have taught just before this question. Pooja Byalal, it is incorrect. Still waiting for the correct answer. Okay, so I've got correct answer from Geeta. Very good, Geeta. It is correct. That's why I always say do pay attention to what I'm teaching on the concepts part. Jaya, very good, Jaya. I think Jaya is the first one to post the answer. So Jaya and Geeta, both of you guys, answer is correct. I know Pooja B, but your approach is correct. But just do pay attention to. Okay, now I've got correct answer from Namrata also. Very good. So Jaya, Geeta, and Namrata. No, dear. Pooja, it is nowhere near to the answer. Whatever you have done, just do. Very good. Sudarshan, it is incorrect. Harsh, incorrect. Everyone is posting the same answer, and that answer is incorrect. Arun, again, it is incorrect. Kuldeep, it is incorrect. Okay, very good, Shamli. Now I've got correct answer from Shamli also. I think Shamli posted it long back. I just checked your answer, Shamli. I have to go to everybody's page and check the answer because of this Zoom update. Deepika, recheck. Very good, Mustafa. Mustafa also posted the correct answer. Her score, now it is correct. So see, many student posted the answer is like, sir, the cost of material is how much? 80,000. So the cost of the previous year, perfect. The cost of the current year, it is 14 lakh 80,000. Perfect. So many students posted the total of 80 plus 14 lakh 80,000. But I told you guys that any scrap value realized on sale of normal loss will be deducted from the cost of material while calculating cost per unit. I repeat again, any scrap value realized on sale of normal loss will be deducted from the material cost to calculate the cost per unit. So minus 40,000. That's why I always mention do write whatever the concepts I'm teaching, write in your language, copy the explanation what I have given. Apart from this, write your comments also because what you will write, you will remember it forever. So it is 1480 plus 80 minus 40 divided by 38,000. So 80 plus 1480. So this will be 40. This is 359 and 1077. So this part is the key, very important point. 40,000 is the scrap value that is realized. Anyways, I appreciate your efforts. Admin sir, can you please unmute Kuldeep? Okay. Yes, Kuldeep, tell me.
Sir, in second pair, it is mentioned that labor and is complete by labor and overhead complete 60%.
Okay.
Opening
One
work in
second.
progress, material,
Opening
and
work
then
in
labor.
progress, right?
Yes, second pair.
So what exactly you're finding difficult? I mean, I'm not getting Kuldeep.
So opening, if 100% cannot be taken for labor and overhead.
No. I think you were present throughout the session.
Yeah.
I have discussed this part in detail that in weighted average method, this is to be done straight away. Just check the recorded session. There was a long discussion on this part that if it is a weighted average method, take these figures straight away. If it is a FIFO method, then we will take the balance work of opening work in progress. So you can check the recorded session. I did a long discussion on this part, Kuldeep.
Okay.
Yeah, it required lots of time to explain these things. In fact, half of the session I was just discussing that what's the difference between FIFO method and weighted average method. And when talking about why I'm taking 100% also, because I'm taking the total cost also, that is the cost of this year plus the cost of previous year divided by the units of this year plus the units of previous year. So just check the session again. You will be able to figure out what exactly I'm doing. Okay. Yes, Kuldeep. So fine, guys. We are done with the calculation of total cost now. So statement showing distribution of cost. So when talking about units transferred, 35,000 units and the cost is 80. Again, one of the students raised a query. Again, one of the students raised query that 40,000 will be deducted from everything. No, dear, 40,000 is the only one amount. It is not 40, 40, and 40. It is only 40,000. So whatever the amount realized on sale of scrap will be deducted from the material cost. एक बार अगर 40,000 डिडक्ट हो गया तो सब जगह 40,000 डिडक्ट करेंगे तो देयर विल बी अ डिफरेंस ऑफ 80,000 माय डियर. Okay, Minu, perfect. I'll tell you, Harsh, about this. Just give me some time. So 35,000 into 80. This will be 28 lakh. When talking about closing work in progress, Material, it is 2000 into 40. Labor and overheads, it is 1600 into 10, 1600 into 30. So this will be 1,44,000. Then abnormal loss. Material, it is 1000 into 40. Labor, it is 800 into 10. Overheads, it is 800 into 30. So this will be 72,000. You can check the total. It is 30,56,000. Miss Harshkor, I'll be explaining your query. Just let me complete this part first. Very good, Namrata. Anyone else having any doubts or queries? Okay. So those who have any doubts or queries, you guys can please post your queries. In the meanwhile, those who want to copy can copy. So Miss Harshkor, are you using mic? I just want to speak to you. Miss Harshkor. It's a good question raised by Miss Harshkor. One second. Very good, Pooja. Yes, Miss Harshkor. Yes, Meda. Harshkor, are you using mic? I'll be posting the final answer, Hina. Okay, admin sir, can you please unmute Harshkor?
Good morning, sir.
Very good morning, dear. So your question was, sir, what is the use of information given in the question regarding units scrapped and degree of completion? That was your question. Okay.
Yes, sir.
So as I told you, unit scrap means what? The units that were scrapped. So total units scrap were how much? 3,000. Of the 3,000 units, 2,000 was normal loss and 1,000 was what?
Abnormal loss.
So abnormal loss units are also scrapped. So
Yes,
1,000 units, the percentage of completion is given in the question, right?
yes, sir.
So this is the use of this information. I hope it is clear now.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, a question from my side to you, Harsh. In fact, to many students, what is the use of degree of completion for opening work in progress? Can you tell me, Harsh?
Sir, if we use FIFO method, then we
Yes,
use
well
it.
said. So this is what I was expecting from you. See, guys, very important. If the degree of completion of opening work in progress is not given in the question, we won't be able to apply FIFO method. Very good, Harsh. Thank you so much. So if The degree of completion of opening work in progress is not given in the question. See, in the question, the degree of completion of opening work is progress is given 100% and 60%. If this information is not given, we won't be able to apply FIFO method. I hope it is clear to all.
Yes, sir. Sir,
Harsh, hopefully.
if
Yes,
it's
yes.
not given in the question, we what method we used? Then any
See,
method we used?
see, Harsh, if this information is not given in the question, the point is first thing, can we solve this question as per FIFO?
Yes, sir.
No, no, no. If the degree of completion for opening work in progress is not given, can we apply FIFO?
No, sir.
No. First thing. Second thing, if the question is silent, you can apply any of the method. But it is advisable to solve the question as per weighted average method because it's easy comparative to the FIFO method. But if the question clearly mentions that you have to apply FIFO method, then only you have to apply FIFO method.
Okay, sir.
Anything else?
No, sir. Thank you, sir.
Very good. Thank you. Anyone else with any doubts or queries? Okay, Meenu. So the thumb rule, if the question is silent, always apply weighted average method. When the question says you have to apply FIFO method, information will be given in the question as regards the degree of completion of opening work in progress. Now, Kuldeep, I think you are confused in what is the use of 100%, 60%, or why I have taken 100% and all this. So, Kuldeep, I request you to check the recorded session, especially the FIFO method. And once you are thorough with the FIFO method, check the weighted average method, the difference between FIFO and weighted average method, you will be able to understand. Because for half an hour, 45 minutes, I was teaching that part only. Still, if you are finding any sort of difficulty, Kuldeep, just write a mail cma-enter@icai.in. I'll be personally taking care of your queries. Don't worry, Kuldeep. Now, Mustafa sir, if abnormal gain, then it will be like, see, if abnormal gain is given, it will be deducted. See, abnormal loss is added. Abnormal gain is shown on the debit side, so it will be deducted. And we will assume that it is 100% complete. Anyone else with any doubts? Kuldeep, I think you are facing query. Okay, I'll speak to Mayank sir and I'll address your query by tomorrow, by Monday, max to max by Monday, Mustafa. Kuldeep, I hope this part is clear to you. Take your time, just check the recorded session. And still, if you find any sort of difficulty, then just write a mail. I'll be taking care of your query personally. So I hope you guys are thorough with this chapter. I hope you find this chapter interesting. It's not easy, but yes, as far as the concepts, if you're thorough with the concept, you'll find this chapter very easy. The point is the conceptual part and the practice. So two things in costing, the concepts and the practice. The more you will practice, the better you will be with the concepts and the practical sums. So take your time, spare some time. Today is Saturday, so Saturday, Sunday, try to solve all the questions of study material. Apart from this, there are variety of questions available in practice manual also. So try to solve all the questions of practice manual plus the MTPs, RTPs, past examination question. See, this is the digital era wherein everything is available over internet. So just type what you want and you will get it. So there are variety of questions available. Try to solve as many as possible question. Again, important point in writing. So try to solve as many as possible question in writing. Trust me, you'll find this chapter as the easiest chapter. So I hope you guys are thorough with the concept. Opening will always be given in the question. Okay, Miss Rabari. Admin sir, can you please unmute Miss Rabari? Yes, Mustafa, you can. but only the limited questions, huh? Admin sir, can you please unmute Riddhi and Rabari?
गुड मॉर्निंग सर।
Good morning, madam. Tell me.
सर आपने कहा फीफो हमें खुद से करना है,
हाँ जी.
पर सर इसमें जो लॉस मतलब एबनॉर्मल लॉस होगा वो
हाँ.
कैसे पता चलेगा कि वो किस यूनिट्स पे
वो
हुआ है?
सी
ओपनिंग, क्लोजिंग?
ओपनिंग वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस से आपको क्या करना है, यूनिट्स ट्रांसफर्ड में यूज कर लीजिए. जो भी ये यूनिट्स ट्रांसफर्ड है ना, 35,000,
हाँ,
उसमें से ओपनिंग पर वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस कितना हो जाएगा, 2,000, और
2000।
बैलेंस कितना बचा, 33,000 विल बी फ्रॉम द इनपुट्स, राइट?
ओके,
And now, when talking about abnormal loss and closing work in progress, this will be from the inputs only.
ओके सर,
Perfect?
ओके।
Yeah. Okay. So Arun Sagar sir, I doubt that there is 2,000 units is normal loss, 1,000 units is abnormal loss. Then scrap value should be 3,000 into 20, but you have taken. So see, I repeat again, there is a difference between normal loss and abnormal loss. See, this costing is all what about estimated data. When talking about normal loss, we can estimate in advance, and the product cost is inflated because of normal loss. So that's why when talking about the normal loss, only the scrap value realized on sale of, even we have done in the past all the question that any scrap value realized on sale of abnormal loss will be deducted from the loss amount, and balance amount is to be transferred to costing P&L. So very important, this 1,000 units into 20, that is 20,000 rupees. 20,000 rupees will be deducted from 72,000, and 52,000 will be transferred to costing P&L. Arun. I hope, Arun, your query is resolved. While preparing abnormal loss account, yes, we will account the amount received on sale of abnormal loss. So abnormal loss is 72,000. Scrap value realized is 20,000. So balance amount 52,000 will be my net loss, and it will be transferred to the costing P&L. I hope it is clear, Arun. Anyone who want to speak to me? Arun, hopefully your query is resolved. Anyone else with any doubts or query? Yes, Arun, any doubts? Anyone else with any doubts or query? I'm done with the session now. Okay, Mustafa. Yes, you can. मीनू यार, स्क्रैप जो होता है वो मटेरियल का होता है. सिर्फ एनी मटेरियल, सी बेसिकली स्क्रैप इज जनरेटेड फ्रॉम मटेरियल, सो इट इज एडवाइजेबल टू डिडक्ट इट फ्रॉम मटेरियल ओनली. लेबर का कोई स्क्रैप जनरेट नहीं होता, या ओवरहेड्स का कोई स्क्रैप जनरेटेड नहीं होता. सो इफ वी आर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग अ शर्ट फ्रॉम द फैब्रिक, इफ एनी सपोज लेट्स से व्हाइल कटिंग सम फैब्रिक इज स्क्रैप, और हमने क्या किया, वो फैब्रिक का क्या किया, जो मास्क बनाता है उसको बेच दिया. सो वी आर गेटिंग सम अमाउंट on sale of that scrap material. So that is deducted from the cost of material, Meenu. Someone raised hand, I think. Anyone else? Yes, Kuldeep. Admin sir, can you please unmute Kuldeep?
सर वो दूसरे पेज पे जाएंगे आप?
कौन से पेज पे?
वो जो दूसरा पेज आपने दिखाया था ना क्वेश्चन का.
कॉस्टिंग का मतलब?
वो जो पहले पेज दिखाया था ना आपने एग्जाम्पल में.
हाँ जी, ये लीजिए.
कंप्लीशन का पर्सन.
हाँ जी,
इसमें लेबर एंड ओवरहेड 60% लिखा है.
ये
इस
ओपनिंग वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस का है.
ओपनिंग का है. अच्छा
2,000
अच्छा.
यूनिट्स जो है ना, ओपनिंग वर्क इन प्रोग्रेस है, और उनका परसेंटेज ऑफ कंप्लीशन गिवन है कि ये जो 2,000 यूनिट्स ये कितना परसेंट कंप्लीट हुए. मटेरियल 100% कंप्लीट हो गया है, और लेबर एंड ओवरहेड 60% कंप्लीट हो गया है. सो व्हेन टॉकिंग अबाउट इफ वी आर यूजिंग फीफो मेथड, तो लेबर और ओवरहेड्स में अभी 40% काम बाकी है. मटेरियल पूरा हो गया, लेबर एंड ओवरहेड 60% हो गया. सो लेबर एंड ओवरहेड्स में 40% काम बाकी है, जो कि हम ये महीने में करेंगे.
Okay. Okay.
So guys, we are done with it. I think, one second, let me check if there are any more queries. Thank you so much for the compliment, Mustafa. I'm here to teach you guys only, don't worry. So still, if you have any queries, you can speak to me. So thank you so much, guys, for your time and patience and for active participation in the session. I appreciate your efforts that many students were posting the answer, but still few students are not posting their answers or any comments that okay, they have understood or not. So I suggest you guys, the more you will participate, the better you will be with the concepts. So participate, I mean, uh, participate as much as possible. Try to post your answers, whatever the queries you have, speak freely to me. Those who are joining over YouTube also, do join via Zoom and you can speak to me straight away. So thank you so much for your time and patience. We are done with this chapter. I'll be taking the next chapter, that is service costing. My colleague will be taking care of joint and byproduct. So I'll be starting with the remaining chapters from service costing. So till then, whatever the chapters I have done, do revise. Still, if you have any doubts or queries, just write a mail. I'll be there to address all your queries. Till then, take care. Thank you so much. God bless you.